And you're joining Samantha Fury, who's the author of the Street Justice series with Charlie's Angel and Tidal Wave, is the first 2 books in that series, on Indie Author Chat. And today we're going to be talking about author branding. It's something, if you're self-publishing, you may not have put a lot of thought into it because you're busy writing your book. And but then you've got your book written, you've got it edited and formatted, and now you're like, oh, but who knows who I am besides my mother and my brother, and that's about it. And so you have to start thinking about branding. But actually, I think Samantha agrees, the time to think about branding is before you even have your book out there. So you want to start building some of the tools that are going to help you get the word out about your book so that readers who will enjoy what you write can find you. Samantha, what's one of the first things you think people should do when it comes to branding?
Well, first of all, you need to understand that it's going to be different from everybody. And if you start trying to search branding, which I did when we started talking about doing this show, there's not a lot of help out there. And each person's brand is sort of their own thing, so what they're doing may not work for you. So first you need to understand what it is. And it's more or less just what you are about. You know, think of like the branding people like what's in your wallet. Almost everybody's going to know that's Capital One. So they have a really good branding. Got Milk's obvious because it's got milk in the title. But you need to kind of figure out, what am I about? Who am I writing to? Am I writing to only teens? Am I writing to only housewives? And you're going to have to do some homework. You're going to have to do some work. This isn't going to be one of those things that comes easy. It's going to be one of those things you have to work to try to figure out. And all of us are still trying to figure it out. There's book branding, in my opinion, where, like my first covers, they're both alike, you know, and I'm changing the covers, but I'm keeping them similar. I'm going with, you know, something that when people see the first book, they'll automatically know pretty much what the second one's going to look like. There's taglines. There's so much, and we're going to try to squeeze as much as we can in our show today to help you out.
Right. I agree. First, for instance, you have to, if you're writing nonfiction, your branding is going to be you. You're going to be speaking about the topic that you're specializing in. If you're a fiction writer, of course you're a big part of your brand, just like James Patterson is a big part of his brand. But frankly, James Patterson could be standing in back of me at the Walgreens or in front of me at the Walgreens, and I wouldn't be able to pick him out of a crowd from 50 other Florida retirees. I just wouldn't be able to tell James Patterson from the rest of the crowd. And that's kind of how it is with fiction. There are some standouts. Everybody knows what Stephen King looks like, or maybe Stephanie Meyers or J.K. Rowling, but very few know what Bella Andre looks like, or other authors that are out there. So you're not going to be so concentrated on your looks. Your brand is going to have more to do with your books. And that's one of the reasons that I always use my book covers. When I have an avatar online, you'll always see the angel in the shadows, because that book cover is the brand for the Angel series. So branding for fiction, I believe, is a lot different than branding for nonfiction. Your reader, you're making a silent contract with your readers as to what you're all about. Samantha does romance, so she's always going to have 2 people on her covers. And most of your romance authors are going to have people on their covers in various stages of undress. That's part of building a romance brand. You look at a cover, the instant you look at a cover, it should be able to tell you something about that genre and what you're going to be getting in that book. So your covers are part of your brand. Another part of your brand, and I know Samantha agrees with this, is your name. Your name is also part of your brand. Lisa Grace, my real name, I'm not trying to hide it, it's Lisa Quashes. Nobody can spell it. Nobody can say it. So nobody's going to be able to find it on a search. So I went with Lisa because that's so much easier. And that is part of my brand. I use Lisa Grace Books in my email address. Lisa Grace Books is my .com. Lisa Grace Books is my avatar name on any website that I go to. So it's very easy to find me. If you're just looking for the author Lisa Grace or Lisa Grace books, I'm going to pop up in a Google search. And that's what you want to do. You want to remember that that's going to be part of your brand. You don't want to be picking something cutesy for your email, for your author email address. Maybe for your personal one, but my Facebook page also, Lisa Grace Books. How about you, Samantha? You have 2 pen names that you use, right?
Yeah, I write under Samantha Fury and Samantha Lover, and so I tried to, I stayed steady with the Samantha. But you're right, I mean, most of the time I just go with Samantha Fury because there's not a lot of us out there. I think there's only one other. So once when I did an email, I had to be author Samantha Fury, but which is also, helps you stand out. But most of the time, and Lovern is my great-grandmother's maiden name, and so I was just so proud to use it. So, and there's not a whole lot of Samantha Lovern, so that also, I mean, if there's a lot of Mary Janes out there, you're going to want to try to stand out and use author Mary Jane or, something, indie author. You're going to want to stand out as much as you can because that's what this all is about. We're all a bunch of little fish in a pond, and we got to be the most colorful, most vibrant one, so people are going to look at us instead of all the other indies that are around us. And that's why it's so hard to branding. There's, like I said, it's a personal thing. It's something that it may only work for you, and it may not work for anybody else. So you have to really do your homework. And like I said, we're always learning, and that's why I love shows like this, because it makes me dig in and do my homework so I can help you guys understand it. And we're going to have more shows. This is our first. So, we're going to be Indie Author Chat, and we'll have a little website, a page on my Indie Authors Weebly, and there'll be a link at the bottom of this video where you can go and find more about and find out what next show is going to be about. But I want to stay on the branding now. And like you said, romance, that's a branding, a tagline. I'll jump to taglines. With my Street Justice series, it's where characters, creating characters you can love. I'm trying to read them both at the same time. And the other one is where romance comes to life. And those are taglines that kind of bring about a thought. And with the Street Justice series, it's so full of so many different things that really the only thing I could specify was characters. And they are. I mean, all of them you could just fall in love with them. They're your next door neighbor. They're your boyfriend. There's somebody that you can really fall in love with. So that's why I like that tagline. You've got a couple of taglines for yours too, Lisa.
Yes, I do. For the Angel series, I have one, and that's the difference between vampires and angels. Angels are real. And I have that on my posters for my books. I have that on my website. It's very prominent. When I do tweets, angels are real, or do you believe in angels? Everything's tying in with that angel theme. When I guest blog, I'm either guest blogging about 2 different things. I'm either blogging about the supernatural and angels and how they appear in the supernatural. I do a guest column at Eye on the Paranormal twice a month, and it always has to do with that topic. So again, I'm always tying things into my books. When I do articles about self-publishing, the one area where I'm kind of know something about is that I did get a movie contract. My first 2 books in the Angel series are optioned for a movie, so you'll see I do a lot of articles on what authors might want to consider when they're thinking about getting their books optioned for a movie, or when they do get that option and what's going on. The option has been exercised and now the movie's in development. So I'm sharing with you my experiences of what I'm doing and what I wish I'd done differently, and what I am doing and what I like about what I'm doing. So I'm sharing that little bit of expertise, and that's the one thing you want to do, is you want to find your level of expertise, and it can be a couple of different subjects or hobbies, and you want to see if you can somehow tie that in with your brand. I do have an author brand, and my author brand is Lisa Grace, Where Good Meets Evil, because I also write adult history mysteries. The 15th Star is my first one in that line, and I had to think about, well, what does my Angel series have in common with my adult history mysteries? What is the thing that binds them together? What elements do I bring to my brand that are the same in both? And both are very much stories of when good meets evil, what happens. And so that's where Lisa Grace, Where Good Meets Evil. So you want to think about those things. That is part of your brand. So a brand is not only who you are, it's not only what you write, it's also how you present it all together. It's a complete package. And part of what you're going to want to learn about branding also is social media. So maybe Samantha can give us some thoughts on how branding ties in with social media.
Well, part of my branding is in the living room barking. That's why I was muting there. And they like to bark. But I go with the family, a lot of family things. So like she was talking about on the social media, a lot of my images and things are of me and the dogs, because that sort of goes along with my branding. It's part of the family atmosphere, because my books are all, whether it's the romance or whether it's the Street Justice series, it's all about family, and it's all about being clean and being Christian, and showing that, the daily life struggles, how we can overcome things. So that goes along with my branding. And that's why I said this is such a personal thing, branding, because what works for Lisa doesn't work for me, and the other way around. So I always try to, think, what am I doing? Who am I writing for? How are they going to know my books when they find them on the shelf or on Amazon? How are they going to know what they're going to get, what's going to be inside? So that's one reason why I also separated Samantha Fury and Samantha Lovin, because there's a little bit more leniency with the romance, under the romance genre, than there is with the complete Christian. They both have Christian themes. It's just one, I wouldn't even call it edgy romance, but it's just a little bit more than the other one, and I didn't want one genre getting mixed in with the other one. So you may want to consider different pen names if you're sort of crossing the lines like that. But otherwise, you're best to go with, like Lisa did, with the one tagline that helps you with all of your books. And, it's such a personal experience. And like I said, that's why when you start looking for information, it's really hard to find anything that helps you. You got to really dig in.
Correct. One of my pet peeves is you'll have some of these people that come on that teach you about branding, but the fact is they already came in with a brand because of who they are. They've already gotten their brand. There's somebody who was one of the big vice presidents at one of the big publishers. Well, sure, everybody and his brother was querying them at one point. So of course you've got a brand to sell how to market, because you've made it in that industry and you're at the top. But that's not going to work for somebody who's starting at the beginning. And some of the suggestions they're not going to work to building up that Twitter following, to building up that Facebook following. And frankly, they're finding out that, like on Facebook, they're finding out that the bots are going to places and the bots are clicking and they're charging you for those bot clicks. Well, that's not fair. So that's not really going to work so good to build your brand. Some things that can work is, if you're going to use social media to help build your brand, is the 15th Star, for instance. It's about the War of 1812. Well, right now it's the 200-year anniversary of the War of 1812. So a lot of people are, for the next 3 years, that'll be going on. So there are a lot of websites that deal with the War of 1812. There's a lot of people that have family that fought in the War of 1812. And there's suitlers, which are people that market reenactment stuff, and they market it at these reenactment places. So what I did is I started talking to these people that have an interest in the War of 1812. I had to go where they're at, and I had to let them know, oh, I wrote this book that takes place during the War of 1812, and just bring it up in conversations while we're talking about different aspects and about different facts about the War of 1812. And I know some information about the Star-Spangled Banner that a lot of people don't know because it features heavily in my book. And again, so I go to places where people are interested in the Star-Spangled Banner. So I've had museums contact me, historical societies, and now suitlers and antique shops about carrying my paperbacks in their stores. Now, these are not traditional bookstores, not any one of those places, but you better believe it, because they want my book in their store, I'm going to get it to them and get it in their stores. So you may have to think, the way bookstores used to work, the traditional bookstores, is not how it works now. Because of the internet, everybody can just be interested in what they're interested in. So if you're interested in Dungeons and Dragons and gaming and all that kind of stuff, you can just go to Dungeon and Dragon and gaming websites and like drivethrough.com, where people can try out free games and get free books on those subjects. And you can just target market your and not even deal with the big bookstores yet, have quite a following and build up a nice reader base. So you want to start thinking about that bookstores are not necessarily the way to go, although they're great. You want to target market, where are your customers going? Samantha's would be Christian reader websites, Christian bloggers, women who are into romance and all the places that they go to on the internet to discuss romance books. Goodreads is good, Shelfari's good. There's a couple of new ones coming out. And on those places, you want to mention your brand. You're always going to want to put your tagline, your book tagline up there, and then start building your brand in those places. And remember to do your email and your website with your brand, and pick out a good email that ties in with your brand, and a website name, buy that domain name, and tie it in. And this is our first show on branding. We hope we helped you a little bit. We'll have some links in the comment section. They will be archived on YouTube, so you can catch Indie Author Chat Branding is the first topic. Thank you for joining us today. Our next show will be on, is it going to be on websites? The next thing we need to build? I believe it's on websites. So join us for part 2, which is going to be on websites. And thanks for joining Samantha Fury and Lisa Grace on Indie Author Chat.